Yeah, it's like, what's the chord progression? It's just a badass bass line. That's the chord progression. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. I know the band name XTC, and for many, many years, I feel like I got this band name mixed up with INXS, something about the letter play, X. So they're not the same band, and I've only heard like one or two songs by INXS. None from XTC, so I have no idea if these bands have anything in common. However, me being such a big Steven Wilson fan, a big Porcupine Tree fan, I've heard Steven speak so highly and so candidly about XTC, his work with Andy Partridge, and of Andy Partridge in general. However, it really stops there, and I haven't heard a lick of it yet. But today I'm taking a fairly unanimous audience request for this band's song, Mayor of Simpleton, which is from the band's 11th studio album, Oranges and Lemons, released in 1989, the year I was born. And while this song wasn't necessarily their most popular song, it was indeed the best performing single they had here in the United States. And this blurb about their musical stylings is quite a mixed bag, stating, the album is primarily pop and rock, although a variety of other styles are plundered throughout, such as jazz, reggae, hard rock, Middle Eastern music, and hell, even Zairian soukous. And that the music is characterized as a 1980s update of 1960s psychedelia. The Wikipedia page for this album is very long-winded, but included tons of great insight behind the song's genesis and a quote from Andy that got my attention. And it reads, Colin had to work very hard to get that bass line. It's very precise. It took me a long time to work it out because I wanted to get into the JS Bach mode of each note being the perfect counterpoint to where the chords are and to where the melody is. All stuff I love digging into. So without further ado, here is Mayor of Simpleton from XTC. Is it Ecstasy? Ecstasy? XTC? Still a little unsure on that. Let me know.
Never been near a university. Never took a paper or a learning degree. Some of your friends think that's stupid of me.
Cool.
But it's nothing that
Settles into this bouncy groove now. Andy Partridge is the mayor. Okay, love this bass line. Nothing too tricky rhythmically. Thankfully, those are always some of the toughest things to discern when bass is just mixed at the volume it always is. It has this very eighth note rolling, just kind of peaks and valleys in a way. And I love the asymmetry of it. I'm going to go back and listen to it again at the beginning, but for now I know it's sort of like a... this nice irregularity to it, which keeps it interesting. And I think that's the trick about making bass lines memorable, is sometimes it can be the repetitiveness of them, but sometimes it can be the irregularity of them that keeps your attention. It keeps pulling your ear away from everything else going on. And it's like, hey, listen to this bass line that's ever evolving. So I like the sort of mix between those two there. Let's go back and hear that opening. Right there. Did that come in a little before the one? Oh, just kind of a drum intro. Okay, I like that too. Kind of that stumbling in intro.
Never been near a university. Never took a paper or a learning degree.
One or two notes I can't get in there. And there's an impact when it stops doing that. That's all you've heard so far is this rolling sort of bass line. Now there's space in it. So it's funny how you play less notes and it has more impact. So good storyboarding here, as I always talk about storyboarding bass lines. I'm sure it'll come back because it seems introduced like a main theme. But there's a nice impact here when it all comes together. And I like this guitar part. I'll get to that in a minute. Guitar part changes too. Ooh. Damn, that's a catchy bass line. The way it sort of weaves in and out of the vocals, I'm so hip to that. I feel like I've been talking about this concept a lot lately. Bass lines that jump out of the mix and sort of dance with the vocals, if you will. I mean, that's a perfect example of it right here. And I like how it calls back to the bass line introduced at the beginning, a little higher in register, but still the same effect. So it almost makes the spacious groove a bit more scarce in terms of the composition. Let me go back and hear this. There's a chromatic note in there. Just a nice walk down C major, but to make sure it lines up rhythmically, since there's 8 beats and 7 notes, I think they added that C sharp in there just to kind of elongate it to hit on the downbeat. This is sort of a smoother tone, so I'm going to turn this overdrive channel off and maybe pull the treble back a bit, but maybe some mid-range. Just more even square tone. Okay, one more time this little part and we'll keep it moving. Lot to soak in so far. Nice little diminished thing there. Walking up to the A minor. So we're going from 1, flat 2, diminished sort of thing, then to the minor 2 chord, or the 2 chord in G, which is A minor. Nice, colorful stuff. Wow, what a bop! This is just ear candy, ear orgasm stuff, man. It's just so well done. Classic British brilliance. I mean, I'm wondering how much these guys fit into some of the other bands I've done. That's a whole scene I'm still trying to connect the dots with. Stranglers, The Jam, The Attractions, all these bands I've been getting into. Now we have XTC. So that's a scene I've got to listen to more of, because they always hit me with some clever stuff, clever melodies, catchy, clever stuff. So I like how that vocal melody was taking from the bass line, or the bass line was taking from the vocal melody. This is very much a chicken or the egg, which came first thing, but you can hear that right here. I'm going to stop pausing because I know I'm spending a lot of time here in the first minute, but damn, there's so many treasures to pick out here. Yeah, that part. Okay. What? Why is this tripping me up so much? It's a tongue twister. What is that note there? There's one note I'm missing. I got the B part. I think that's it, Tough to pick them all out, but... It's that spacious groove. Catchy. And the more I hear the movement of this, it reminds me a lot of The Approach as Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick. Again, that's another band that just, the bass lines were just red hot, right? So this reminds me of that, maybe not quite as active, but very much cut from that same cloth of lead bass, but with a nice subtle tone that doesn't become too distracting because of its sound. It's distracting in its melody, its lyricism. And that's a whole different thing. It's a very distinct difference there. There's that diminished. Nice swing thing there. They went up to the 3 chord on that B minor. It almost sounded like a key change, but B minor is still in the key of G. So they've withheld that chord, and it almost tricks you into thinking they modulated, but they didn't.
I'm not proud of the fact that I never learned much. Just feel I should say what you get is all real. I can't put all of that. It takes brains to do that anyway. And I can't
Kind of a tricky form and song structure too.
ones on the whole computer and the on the run. And I may be the man of Simpleton, but I know one thing, and that's I love you. I love you. If that fun feeling is a currency, please be accepted from the man of Simpleton, and I'm the man of
You guys are going to crucify me for not getting this bass line right. So I've never done this in a video before. I'm going to look it up really quickly. Why not? It seems too specific to the song to just kind of be rough around the edges with it. Let's see if I can find one. Okay, I was just a 1 note off here. It actually starts on the downbeat with that high note. I think I was throwing in that lower octave, and it might have been the way the song started. It felt like that was a pickup note. So really it's just... So right back up to it. Cool. Okay, I knew I was almost there when there's a couple notes just throwing me off. Okay, I feel a little better now. This is a whole other one here. I haven't talked about this part yet, but I love how the bass is inverting the chord slightly here. It sounds like it. I sort of hear that first inversion, second inversion thing where the bass line is not playing the root, but maybe playing the 3rd or the 5th of the chord. It's tough to tell because those guitar parts that I said I was going to come back to, they're a bit open-ended. They're chimey and they don't really, at least not obviously, outline a full chord. It's very much chord tones and an implied G major kind of at the beginning, but the guitar was very much back there doing this, just, it's like, what chord is that really? It could be anything. So the open-endedness allows the bass to come in and truly define what the chord is. So when there's a bit of an established guitar chord being played here with those B minors and now this E minor section, let me hear it again and see if that's what the bass is doing. It just sounds, it has that sound to it. Exactly what I said. If you listen to the guitar parts here, they're actually mixed in a way that it's just not super obvious. You feel that chiminess as more of just a layer and sort of the rhythm behind it. But there's not this big chord tone being pushed by, it's not a guitar chord back there going. And they're just being really obvious. It's very much still that. And I think that might be what Andy was sort of talking about with this counterpoint, this JS Bach mode, where the bass and the guitar operate very much like a Bach etude, where there's 2 melodies happening. It's very contrapuntal. So I didn't really think about that until now, even though I just read it in the intro, but I kind of hear maybe what he's getting at with that comment. The guitars are ambiguous. They still outline the 5th, the major 7th, a little bit of that resolve in there. So when the bass goes down here and plays an E under that, now we have E7 with a 9, so we have this kind of sound. Then when the bass goes up to F sharp and the guitars are still going, now we have D major first inversion with a 3rd in the bass, and then it goes up to G. Now we have G major 7. Now we have, A11, 6, 13, something like that, however you want to refer to it. Point being, the bass can just move up. And while those guitar parts are more static, the chord can really be anything Colin decides. That's what it sounds like here. And proper mixing and levels with that type of thing really make this concept translate a bit more. It feels like there's no real chord progression. It's sort of just dictated by this moving bass line. Awesome stuff. That's a big trope I hear in these British bands a lot. Yeah, it's like, what's the chord progression? It's just a badass bass line. That's the chord progression. It's the key of badass bass line. That's it. Right there. Cool. I love when the bass and the vocals join together. That's like the climax for me. I think it's only happened one other time. I thought it was going to come back here in the middle of the song. They detoured a bit, so that's a really important part in terms of the placement in the song. This bass line kind of goes up chromatically almost. And resolves nicely with that vocal melody. That is just a gem, y'all. Yeah, just all the way up the scale. It buys some time and waits for the vocal to wrap up. I got to hear it again because it's got to be the last time it happens. Let's start that whole thing over, right back here. Yes. Now they reprise it in a lower octave. What a song. Just one more time, pretty please. I got to hear this outro. Everything reprised with a whole new facelift on everything they've given you. The bass did the line that we've been used to hearing down an octave and sort of ventured out and almost improvised with this ad-lib quality to it. Vocals just kind of riffing, some harmonies coming in. One vocal layer starts and then becomes the secondary as this, new melody happens, but it's all in this sort of reprise where it doesn't sound new, but it sounds familiar, but it is new. One more time, pretty please. Bass got a little syncopated here. Hasn't done that yet. Guitar. It's like, what's the chord progression? Well, I don't really rank bass lines here on the channel. Maybe that would be a fun video, but this has to be one of my favorite bass lines I've heard in quite some time. If I'm just looking at the entire bass performance, the sequencing of it, how it elevated things like the vocals, then locked in with the drums very briefly, and how it just, again, defined the chord progression. There was no chord progression. It was that bass line. And just great catchy writing. Every time I get into one of these new to me, British bands, I'm always left just really speechless on how well written the music is. And the funny thing about the British scene, maybe 70s, 80s, is that I was actually into some bands just because of my dad. My dad lived in England for a brief period. I think he acquired some records. I don't remember the times and such. All I know is that he came out of there being a big Al Stewart fan and a big Nick Lowe fan and turned me on to those guys. And this reminds me a bit of that. It's one of those things where it was pop, but it wasn't just good vocals pop and everything else was an afterthought. Every person in the band added something very magical to the song, every layer. And this reminds me of that. You have catchy vocals. You have really guitar parts that glue everything together. I'm always talking about bass lines gluing things together. Well, it's reversed. The guitar was what kind of glued it all together. Kept it ambiguous enough to where the vocals didn't clash with it, nor did the bass line, but it just thickened it up. It just sort of sat in the middle. Then you had the bass line just driving the whole thing. So it's like every person in the song contributed something to the way it was delivered. I'm just going to stop with the superlatives. I really enjoyed this song. I really liked it. And there was something a bit nostalgic about it, despite never hearing this band before. So thank you guys for requesting XTC, Ecstasy. I would certainly love to circle back to this band and let me know what other songs have some killer bass lines. This can't be the only one. But if you'd like to support this channel further, come hang out with us over on Patreon. I do full albums there each month. We vote on them. We have a great community of awesome, sweetheart people. I would love for you to join us. And I also have bass lessons there, music theory lessons, just pretty much everything I've done on video is over on Patreon. And if you enjoyed this video, please like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I love you all. I love you all for requesting this song. We'll see you in the next one.